Welcome to Richplanet TV. I'm Richard D. Hall. Has your partner just stormed off in the huff because you are watching Richplanet again? Fear not, you are not alone in experiencing this phenomenon. And don't be controlled by emotional blackmail either. It's not big and it's not clever, so close the door and I'll begin. And if I just walk around here, we can view things from my perspective. So this is just green paper stuck to the wall. We'll be hearing from our special new correspondent, Richard D. Hall, who has been tasked by BBC bosses to break all BBC news traditions and report the absolute truth with no spin. And we've got an 8 feet long double strip light there that I've stuck on some aluminium foil on the back to reflect the light up. Earlier this year, Peter Mandelson was rumoured to have been in line for a top BP job. What that lanky manipulative waste of space knows about the oil industry is beyond me. I'll sit in the Richplanet. The G something or other summit was held last week where the world's so-called economic crisis was discussed. Okay. According to a report by the government think tank Demos, terrorists use conspiracy theories in attempts to discredit the government and recruit new members. Really? Now, the other cameras that we have 3 cameras. The news in recent weeks has contained so much bullshit that our bullshit meter has exploded and been sent for repair. For this show, obviously there's that camera there looking at me. There's normally, just pissed on the desk. Ulysses has just pissed on the desk. And also about the very disturbing phenomenon of animal mutilation.
When they said calves, I thought they were going to be little things like that.
Okay, this is the lift, otherwise known as the death trap, and we've just filled it full of junk.
We've made a little bit of progress.
This is lovely concert where it snows more than anywhere in England. Starting this time with the head of MI6, John Sawers, who made a rare speech which has not happened for 100 years. In this speech, he mentioned the importance of human rights, which is a bit like George Best lecturing you on how to stay sober.
Johnny Fartpants was one of my favourites.
In some programmes you had serious debate, and then you had a poem about a hemorrhoidal discharge.
Yeah.
There was pictures of the new MI6 boss in his Speedos.
Felix and his amazing underpants.
That was also very good, yeah.
Okay.
We're going to go to the pub because I'm bloody freezing.
This is known as the underpants bomber.
Obviously, I'm off the Christmas card list
Right.
at MI6, and
Now I've extended my trip here in Dublin by 1 day because I intended to go home on Monday morning. I arrived here on Friday night and I only came in the clothes that I'm wearing. I didn't have to bring any other clothes, so these underpants are starting to have a mind of their own.
I just want to point out, they are not my underpants.
I mean, I like to consider myself as a closet nerd. In other words, what that means is inside I'm a nerd, but I try not to outwardly show it.
I wouldn't be seen dead in a pair of those. Mine have got Buzz Lightyear on the front.
I basically had my aerial on a biscuit tin in the bedroom. And not only that, I've got a hole in my shoe just to add to the trauma. This skeleton is actually, it's actually David Caton, the Formula One boss, who basically was going to parties with...
yes.
That's been letting water in for the last 2 days.
This is Greyland's hardware store, probably the best hardware store in the world. It sells absolutely everything.
And they weren't Tupperware parties, are they?
No. So tell us about that, Oliver.
Well, I don't normally sully myself with
tabloidy,
sleazy. Yes, I rise above it. But on this occasion, I thought I'd dabble a little bit.
Yeah.
So I entered the murky world of.
It's Boblazar.
What is the plural of dominatrix? Is it dominatrices?
And I've painted it, and I've cut a hole in here, and this is going to be
the teleportation device.
Earlier this week I was looking at the BBC website and I noticed an article about the CERN Hadron Collider, and it said that scientists have developed a means of listening to data produced by subatomic particles such as the Higgs boson. So they're going to try and use this to help them detect the emergence of the Higgs boson, which according to them is the Higgs boson is what gives matter its mass, and we'll come on to that in a second. Just have a listen to some of these sounds. This is what energy from the Higgs boson particle may sound like. Okay, and we've got another one here, which is, this one is what the Higgs particle's harmonic signatures may sound like. And the third one is how an emerging and decaying Higgs particle may sound. Now, I'm not particularly convinced by this listening to the sounds of subatomic particles. Subatomic particles don't emit sound by their very nature. Sound is produced by air molecules vibrating through space, so subatomic particles don't have sounds.
It's coming. We're now in the basement. You trying to send it up from there, Mason?
I'm in it.
Oh, you're in it?
All right. No! No!
So we've decided to create some of our own. And the first is an electron orbiting a hydrogen atom. And the next one is the sound of DNA creating protein molecules by assembling amino acids together. And finally, we've got the creation of hydrogen sulfide by adding sodium sulfide to hydrochloric acid. Right, yeah, I do apologise for the schoolboy toilet humour.
She was a party hostess, shall we say.
Party hostess. And he attended the parties?
The particular party, yes.
And subjecting the public to the deviant creation, thus being able to shift their thinking from personal needs to highly fabricated outside priorities.
And in America, there's a man called Jack McLam who runs an organisation called Police Against the New World Order. And I thought, well, if police can have an organisation against the New World Order, why not hospital porters?
Do you think that religion's just been there to put us off the scent? It's... Because I'm
Yeah, how long have you got? You know what I mean?
I mean, I've had a few, not so much out-of-body experiences, but I've had lots of out-of-head experiences.
Right.
The world is becoming more and more uniform.
In entertainment, keep the public entertainment below a 6th grade level. In the media, keep the adult public attention diverted from the real social issues and captivated by matters of no real importance.
I mean, I went to Australia, you see.
Are we not seeing this on our TV screens every day with the barrage of television shows of no real importance?
I went there with enormously high expectations of feeling I was going to visit somewhere exotic and strange.
Yeah. For example, the plethora of dancing shows. Strictly Dancing, Ballroom Dancing, Disco Dancing, Dancing at Night, Dancing on Ice, and the soon-to-be-launched Dancing on Shite.
When I got on the plane at Heathrow Airport in London, there's a branch of W.H. Smith in the departure hall. One of the first things I saw when I got off at the arrivals hall at Sydney Airport was a branch of W.H. Smith in the arrivals hall.
Where the contestants will hopefully fall flat on their abundantly made-up faces. Of course, these shows are really not dancing competitions. The contestants' rippling bodies strut about, wiggling their bottoms in kinky, sexually explicit outfits, like prostitutes competing for your attention in a sleazy strip joint. Just as some of our tabloid newspapers are actually soft porn mags, thinly disguised as newspapers, these TV shows are the same. They are soft porn shows, thinly disguised as dancing competitions. In the past, I remember the show Benny Hill, which was of course soft porn, thinly disguised as a comedy show. Now, on the Rich Planet Starship, we have no objection at all to anybody wishing to spend their time watching pornography. We are not prudes. We are not the modern-day version of Mary Whitehouse. Just as long as those who insist on watching this tat understand exactly what it is they are glued to and why.
Right, we've had a couple of young lads in who've been taking away a lot of the scrap metal, and they've got a horse and cart, so we're going to go and have a look at them. This is the mode of transport. All right. Have a name?
Nah.
Just an asset.
As my physics teacher always used to say, the easiest person in the world to fool is yourself.
Tattoo to go with it as well. Only in concert.
Then we come on to the other area of no great importance, which is paraded on our TV screens every second of the day. Programs about food. I don't know about you, but I'm no more interested in watching TV shows about eating food than I am in watching TV shows about having a dump. Although that probably would make a far more interesting show than the shit we are served up every day on our lie boxes.
If we just tape these on the way we have, right, with the other one, and then go on, because it'll be easier to line up once you've put them on. Do you know what I mean? Put the double-sided sticky tape on afterwards. Stop filming.
As Andrew Johnson said to me the other day, the BBC, making ignorance fashionable. Well, I think I'll just remain unfashionable if it's all the same to you.
Obviously the audio's not correct, now a little bit low.
Richplanet Studio. It's Boblazar. Panwo. Can you tell us what that stands for, Ben?
Hospital Porters Against the New World Order. There's been lots of news stories about someone called Ed Miliband. Does anyone know who he is?
Right, so this is an organisation which you have originated. Can you tell us how many members it has?
One. Smartly dressed bloke in a suit with, you know, very well-groomed hair, and it's very close shave. And lots of people standing up and applauding him, basically kissing his arse in very, very grand auditoriums, flashbulbs flickering. It looks like the Oscars, really.
If you had like a special spherical, you know, everybody gives you now, yeah, a trampoline. You put a little weight in, and you get a nice little curvature.
Yeah.
And you can imagine little billiard balls going round.
Exactly.
And you could get that curvature modelled to model even a general inverse square law.
Yes.
And you could set them all in motion, and I'll bet that model is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't apply to the planets.
Right.
They don't operate in accordance with a dead model like that. They're a lot more dynamic, right?
Okay.
Do you understand?
Right, so everyone with a physics qualification will be sitting saying he's talking shit. But,
They will, yes. But he's not just that, he's talking shit without a physics degree.
Yeah. So how can you... Religion is like trying to nail a piece of jelly to the wall. Can non-hospital porters join?
Yes, I do tolerate the presence of civilians.
Right, can you give us a bit of Morse code, George?
Did it.
I better go and mop up that rabbit piss.
Is my call sign, G4RNI.
Excellent.
Do you know when you were talking about UFOs?
Yes.
Have you ever saw a UFO?
I've never seen a UFO, no. But I've never seen a kangaroo either. And what's the furthest you've managed to talk to someone?
Space shuttle.
They actually use the word bogey. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's because it's something that they don't want there. Anyway. Did you actually have two-way communication with the space shuttle?
Oh, yes.
Right.
It was very, very basic. It was my call sign, their call sign as a confirmation.
Right.
And they repeated it back, and then they move on to someone else, because when they have one of these amateur radio windows, if you like, it's or the International Space Station, the ISS, it's very, very narrow. They obviously have lots of other things to do.
Yeah. But like float about.
Like float about, yeah, and eat beans.
Mohammed Siddiqui Khan, 30, was caught on CCTV strolling through a branch of Asda the day before the atrocity. He filled the trolley with ice packs used to cool the gang's deadly homemade explosives, the July inquest was told. So buying ice cubes is clear evidence you're going to try and make a deadly bomb. But clearly not for cooling their summertime barbecue drinks, perhaps.
When Hitler conquered Norway, he appointed Vidkun Quisling, a Norwegian, as president of Norway. And Quisling now has come to be known as the depth of treachery. Because the old Nazis, Hitler's Nazis, were at least fighting for their own country. The Quislings, from the name Vidkun Quisling, are traitors to their own country.
It was reported by a French explosives expert who examined the bomb sites that the explosives used were high-grade military explosives, which cannot be made by ingredients bought in Asda.
Quislings who now rule Britain claim that we lived in democracy with human rights and the rule of law. We have none of them.
Well, what we've got here is we've got Charlie Boy on the right here, and we've got Harry Saxe-Coburg Hewitt.
I said to the three lay magistrates, perjury has been committed in this court.
Here's a pint of lager. If I get half a pint of Guinness and pour that in, it doesn't turn out ginger colour.
We don't want to hear that sort of talking here. I was astonished.
I've got the red gene, Harry Hewitt's got the red gene.
I was telling her perjury and she didn't want to know.
Well, I call it ginger.
It is ginger, yeah.
You criticising a judge?
This strawberry blonde here, I don't know whether he's got highlights.
It was then I realised that our so-called news media have their own agenda, and exposing crooked judges is not part of it.
We've referred to that as the Jubilee book, and it certainly is dedicated to the Queen in the Jubilee year, and hopefully that she may get a copy in due course.
Okay, all right. Well, you might know that I'm not a monarchist if you watch.
No,
but that's fair enough.
Yeah. It is a Jubilee year, Richard.
I mean, what they always say about the royals is, oh, we fought to have these rights to do that. Why can't I fight them now? Yeah? Why can't I fight them in a field with fisticuffs and what have you? Yeah. They think that's their constitutional or right, you know, by might. I mean, I reckon I could have Prince Charles. I mean, just grab him by the ears and bite his frickin' nose half off. You know what I mean? Frickin' parasite. Jesus Christ, what an arsehole he is. Up in fox hunting, Freemasonry, oh my God. Jesus Christ. Blonde hair, Lady Di, you know, Disco Di.
Prince Philip is known to have an interest in UFOs. Has he ever publicly commented that you know of?
No,
So it's kind of a closet interest. Maybe he's watching this now.
Maybe.
Two days after these towers literally disappeared, and the BBC think that they know how it happened, compare that with this 500-page, 800-colour photograph book, which is 5 years of research from a professor of mechanical engineering, Dr. Judy Wood. Which one are you going to believe, folks?
If I bang my fist against this wall, there's probably 200 people in this room that see a man bang the fist on the wall.
I know which one I believe, so we'll just get rid of this
Good riddance
out of the way. Okay. Now,
imagine you've got a situation where there's 5 people walking down the street, a burglar comes out of a house and he's got a bag of jewellery and he's running down the street. People will get the descriptions wrong, what he was wearing, colours, heights, ages, completely all wrong. But what they will get, 5 independent witnesses who don't know each other, man running down the street with a bag.
I said to him, well, how did the towers turn to dust, Simon? Are the towers still there, or did they indeed turn to dust? And he said, you know, and I did say to him, you know, I went to New York in 2000, I filmed the towers not being there with my own camera. I know they're not there, you know, because I've been there. And I filmed them not being there. And but he said he wanted to believe that they would take them down by controlled demolition. Yeah. So in other words, he'd gone to belief. For the controlled demolition, he'd gone to believe. It didn't matter about the evidence.
And there are cases when the MOD has quite seriously, you know, researched, investigated, and not been able to explain all this away. And that's something that I think, to be fair, a lot of journalists and producers probably didn't know. Arguably, they should have known.
And for him to say that we were a part of a militant wing, I was personally offended by that.
So you described the Exopolitics UK movement as the militant wing of ufology.
It's no secret that MOD's long-standing policy was and still is to downplay the UFO phenomenon.
So for him to say that, I personally took that as an insult, because I'm certainly not militant and far from it, because I think the way to portray this subject is to talk about the evidence, and that's all I actually do, Nick.
That would make me the militant wing of the militant wing.
It would.
The MOD press office, in responding to UFO stories, would often say in a rather sneering way, well, if people do want to believe in flying saucers, that is, of course, their own prerogative. And they would deliberately get the word flying saucer into the little quote, and little green men too, if they could, just to make the whole story seem faintly ridiculous.
The press is extremely important. When it's not working and things are not happening the way they should be, the process breaks down, and as a result, advocacy cannot proceed. So with that in mind, I would like to say this, if I may, to the British press.
Hack my phone.
And as for the swine flu jab, of course, I think we all know that this was a massive scam. Is anybody here who thinks that it wasn't a scam, that there was indeed a genuine swine flu outbreak? I know Nick does. Nick's hand will go up when I say who thinks 9/11 wasn't an inside job. How many people think 7/7 occurred exactly as per the narrative? That's my case.
I am actually emigrating to the United States either later this month or next month.
Because we might like to think that we are highly advanced spiritual beings, but I think in a lot of ways we are monkeys with computers. And getting up close and personal with us is like getting into a cage with a lion.
So yeah, the winner of the British Exopolitics UK Award for 2011. And the international
farmers didn't witness it, and I'm trying to get them on board so that we can all then.
Well, the day that any Welsh farmer wakes up, and we've met a lot of them, that'll be the day.
The reason they gave for not showing pictures of the dead bin Laden was it might cause Al-Qaeda to carry out a revenge attack. It might threaten national security. I've never heard such a stinking crock of shit in all my life.
In the end of the experiment, what they did was they hooked him up directly to his pleasure centre. So what you could do is essentially by pressing this button, you'd stimulate your pleasure centre and it would put him into sort of akin to an orgasmic state, like a sort of high euphoric state.
Why then did they show pictures of Saddam Hussein after his death? And why did they show the mangled faces of his 2 sons after they were murdered, both before and after makeup?
And the problem was that essentially after about 3 hours, they had to physically wrench this guy off the programme because he just decided... Well, in 3 hours, he pressed his button 1,500 times.
As I said to my mother the other day, if I were to enter an establishment and be offered a copy of the Daily Mail to read, I would be less offended than if someone served me a plate of dog shit in a restaurant.
Leaving himself in a state of almost complete euphoria.
You won't catch me at the Olympics. The opening ceremony will include, inside the Olympic Stadium, a mock-up of English rural life, including 12 horses, 3 cows, 2 goats, 10 chickens, 10 ducks, 9 geese, 70 sheep and 3 sheepdogs.
It's interesting you say that, because basically this was based on an experiment that had previously been done on rats by a chap called James Olds, and essentially what he'd done is given these rats the opportunity to press this button which would stimulate
so the rat could stimulate this thing itself, or pressing a button with his nose or something, or this with his paw. A few weeks ago they unveiled a scale model of the set. I thought it was an old set from Michael Bentine's Potty Time, which was a great show.
What he found was basically every single one of these rats dehydrated or starved themselves to death because of a fixation on self-abuse.
I'm trying to do a report on the Khyber Pass.
Oh, first class. You couldn't have come to a better place.
Why is that, sir?
Well, I mean, this is the Khyber Pass.
A rat, like, orgasmic itself to death.
This allowed for the funding to try it on humans.
Right, right, all right. So when will they be available in the shops?
Colonel Potterton. Colonel Potterton.
Yes.
Known all over the northwest frontier as Potty Potterton.
Yes, I'm sure. Who exactly are you fighting, sir?
Who are we fighting? Did you hear that from the Major? Who are we fighting? I did, sir, Colonel. Oh, that's very, very highly fun-making. Who are we fighting?
Yes. Well, who exactly
Did you
are
hear
you
that,
fighting?
crew? Oh, jolly good. Who are we fighting? Do you hear that, Max? We said, who are we fighting?
Yes.
Who are we fighting?
Very good. Yes, I'm sure.
Very good.
Yes. Who exactly are you fighting?
Yes, indeed. Who are we fighting, sir? This is a very good question, of course. Who are we fighting?
Like I say, you need some kind of environmental and air control system, perhaps something similar that's used on a submarine. Now, here's our space vehicle that I've just designed. Now, that vehicle would probably cost you maybe, I don't know, a few tens of thousands of pounds to build, but that would go in orbit and it would keep you alive for just very little money. The point I'm trying to make is the difficult bit in space travel and in space vehicles is getting into space.
There's a few questions after this that I want to ask about these gibbons.
Now, anyone wonder what happened to the old Wembley Stadium? I'm not saying that Wembley Stadium is in orbit around the Earth. What I'm saying is that I believe that they have the technology to be able to do that if they so wished. Okay, because as long as you've got enough of these anti-gravity discs and have them in a big array, then you could raise that into space.
We wrote some lyrics like, we wrote one song called Adolf Wasn't That Bad.
People forget, why did George Michael fall off the face of the earth? Why did the Dixie Chicks fall off the face of the earth? Do you want to know why? Because they started talking about 9/11.
Why did Michael Jackson literally fall off the face of the earth?
Why did Michael Jackson fall off the face of the earth?
Well, ask you about that.
Why did Jim Tosh die? Why did Tupac Shakur die? Why did Jimi Hendrix die? Why did Bob Marley die?
John Lennon.
John Lennon. All of these people that can utilise and channel youth energy.
Me and Reg's side project, Phil Aishio and the Smegmatics.
Right.
With all kinds of experimental stuff. It was like The Fall, it was like chaotic disco, it was, oh my.
Phil Aishio and the Smegmatics. Was
Phil Aishio and the Smegmatics,
so is that like an offshoot band of the Bile Ducts?
Yeah, there's recordings of that.
Right. And you were in a band at school, I mean...
the Bots.
The Bots, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Still got recordings of that. I mean, the most famous one, me, Peter Watts, Richard Warburton, in my front room playing I'm Gay. You know, still got that if you want it. Want a copy of that? It's a legend. Right. I mean, I even listen to that myself sometimes.
And it's used to make things, which we've all been brought up to love and crave. Black stuff, we worship you. Because the black stuff is so essential to our existence, world leaders like Hillary Clinton use it in a kind of weapon in their game to carry out a highly dubious agenda. You see, it's okay for everyone to have black stuff, but Hillary and her chums say they are not happy because Iran, who have lots of black stuff, is trying to make grey stuff. They don't want Iran to have any grey stuff because grey stuff is used to make nuclear bombs. Only America and their friends are allowed to have grey stuff, and they have more grey stuff than you can shake a stick at. But under no circumstances will America allow Iran to make its own grey stuff, even though Iran has made it perfectly clear it has no grey stuff, nor has any intention of making grey stuff. But Hillary and co don't believe them, or so they say, and a while back told the countries of the world that if anyone continues to buy black stuff off Iran, America will stop buying their things. This is bad because countries like America to buy their things, even though they pay for them with useless pieces of paper. And so it was, until recently when it became apparent that many countries couldn't survive without their black stuff from Iran. There might not be enough black stuff to put in their machines with wheels, and it is costing too many pieces of paper. So Hillary came to the rescue and kindly said that 10 EU countries and Japan could continue to buy black stuff off Iran and America wouldn't stop buying their things. This might sound very trivial, petty and pathetic, and indeed it is, and it's one of the reasons why the black stuff you put in your machine with wheels costs so many pieces of paper.
Starting to become a telegenic media cyborg.
And I just want to give a little analogy of what I think our parliament has turned into. Let's just say you've got a cage with 6 monkeys in it. In that cage, there's a big tower inside it and there's a banana at the top. And one of the monkeys says, right, I'm going to have that banana, and he climbs up the tower, but halfway up there's this invisible force field that gives him a massive electric shock, and he comes tumbling down. And the next monkey thinks, well, I'm going to have a try at that. And he tries and the same happens. A third monkey tries, and the other 2 monkeys jump on him and say, no, you're going to get an electric shock. So these monkeys, they just leave it be. They then take one of the monkeys out of the cage and they put a new monkey in. The new monkey sees the banana and he starts going up to get the banana, and the other monkeys, they all jump on him and say, no, don't do that, you'll get hurt, you can't get that banana. So the monkeys in the cage have indoctrinated the new monkey with their doctrine, with their information that they have, that there's a force field there. You then take out another monkey and put a new one in. Same thing happens, that monkey goes to the banana. The rest of them, including the new monkey, he's not quite sure why he's stopping that monkey going to get the banana, but he does it anyway. You replace another monkey, and then you replace them one by one until all 6 monkeys have been replaced. And each new monkey that comes in, they're all jumping on him. Now, you then switch this force field off so they can get the banana, and then you keep sending new monkeys in, and every time they jump on the monkey. So they're acting on false information, and they're all basically indoctrinating each other. The only solution to that system, to allow the monkeys to get the banana, is to replace every single one of those monkeys with a new set of monkeys, and that's what we need to do with our parliament. That ends the first section.
When I go along there, I occasionally have a chat with him, and he'll say to me, Richard, there's no conspiracy theory too wild for me. I look at all of them. So he's into the hollow earth theory. Yeah. You've heard of that one. Now, the other one which we were talking about in the pub the other day is and it makes me laugh, not because I have no view on it. Okay, I'm a very open-minded person, as I have to be. Yeah. And I recently learned about this particular theory about Paul McCartney. Yes. And I'm not saying that I have any. I don't know enough about it. Yeah. Right. But the theory is that. Is it in 1966?
It was just prior to the theory is that just prior to the recording of the Sgt. Pepper album, Paul McCartney died in a car crash.
Paul McCartney died in a car crash. Is that in 66?
I'm not sure.
I'm not saying this is true, folks. I'm saying that this is an alleged
This is the theory.
Right. And then he was replaced with a double.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that there's a series of clues left throughout well, there's all sorts. Like
the double was called Fall.
Fall, the fake Paul. Some people
Fall.
suggest that his name was Billy Shields, which is what they say in before Get By With Little My Help From My Friends, the one and only Billy Shears.
Right. Now, and the reason that people give as to why he was bumped off and replaced is because he was not wanting to promote LSD and blah, blah, blah.
Well, he wasn't
towing the line. This is the theory, no?
The theory that I heard is that basically he just died in a car crash, and the Beatles were such an enormous entity that from any sort of perspective, that they just had to continue on with it. And again, I'm going to reiterate, I'm not saying that this is what happened, but you could see a plausibility as to why somebody might do that. That's all I'm going to say. What irritates me,
there's loads of stuff on the internet.
Backwards masking and like there's clues in the album covers and stuff like that.
And there's also the clip of Heather Mills.
Yeah.
Who says that, and I know Heather Mills was absolutely crucified in the mainstream media. I don't know what people think of her, but the media did a hatchet job on her. That's for sure. But she says that she's got a box which has got evidence in it, and that she's had death threats to say that she must not reveal this information.
Yeah.
I mean, you came in here and said you fear for your life and for Beatrice's
The police came
life.
round, and this is why I'm speaking about this now, and I have a box of evidence that is going to a certain person should anything happen to me. So if you top me off, it's still going to go to that certain person, and the truth will come out. There is such a fear from a certain party of the truth coming out that lots of things have been put out and done. So the police came around and they said, you have serious death threats from an underground movement.
A lot of people think that the information that she has is proof that McCartney was switched in 1966.
And sometimes I also go through Lidl's and Aldi's as skips, because that food has to be kosher by German standards, which are high, you know, as long as it's not a sunny day. Yeah, as long as it's not a sunny day, you can just go there with a bin bag and fill your boots. We've also got international cuisine, you know, who make food for all kinds of companies. You give someone who works there a £5, and you get a big box full of stuff. You used to get a bin bag full of stuff for a £10.
Aye.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yes.
Have you filled in your census form? Are you feeling a tiny bit guilty because you haven't completed it yet? Well, one person who hasn't filled in his census form is Ben Emlyn Jones. We caught up with him in Lytham St Anne's to witness his protest and his uncanny management of the government's questionnaire.
So what's the reason why you're doing this, Ben?
Because the census is an act of big brother imposition on the people of this country. They say you've got to answer these questions, and they threaten you if you say no. I mean, and they threaten you with a £1,000 fine, and it's all run by an American arms contractor called Lockheed Martin.
Really?
Isn't it awful? Okay. Hospital Porters Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panwo TV. I'm at the Probe Conference at St Anne's in Lancashire, and you're about to witness a ceremony of desecration. Bring forth the defiler. Is this the defiler? The sentence of this court.
Let's get rid of it.
That's like you be burned at the stake until you are dead. Yay! Yay! Burn! 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 Oh, come on.
The scourge.
Burn! Burn!
We're not going to have a look.
Hang on.
Right.
If only I was a smoker.
Yeah.
Sorry about the delay, ladies and gentlemen. It's it's going. Yes, that's it.
There we are.
Burn! 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 This one's going to go viral. Yay!
Back to hell.
Where you belong. Return these ashes to the census office. This is not my form, this is our Stain and Chris's form. We can return them to the census form, yeah.
What, you're going to return it as ashes?
We are. When these ashes are cooled down, we've saved the envelope, we're going to put them in and we're going to send them back.
With a nice message.
What do you say to people who think that you're just a bit mad for doing this, Ben? What's your answer to that?
I think you're mad actually if you feel this. If people are coming to you and asking you questions, for no other reason than they want to ask you questions, and if you provide false information, they tell you you're providing false information when they are the ones asking you the questions. I think that's crazy, because you can say to them, well, if you think you know better and you think you know more about my life than I do, then why don't you fill the form in for me? So I mean, the whole thing about it is mad. It's all crazy. Well, we just told them we had a little accident. We were trying to light our cigarette and the census form caught light. we were a bit cold.
It's a senseless form now.
A senseless form, yeah.
Do they not need this information in order to set policies and stuff like that, Ben?
Well, the thing is, though, whenever they want to set policies and stuff, they just do other surveys, which leads me to suspect there's another reason for this census form, which they're not telling us.
Right.
Especially when people like Lockheed Martin are involved. I mean, the government say, well, your data is safe with us. However, they've left submarine blueprints in laptops in cars, and they left social security details down the backs of chairs in trains. What we're going to do with these ashes now, are they cool enough? Any ashes that we can revive, we're just going to. We have the envelope. We're just going to return these ashes to the people they came from.
Not much left of it now.
There's enough. Yeah, there's barely an envelope full, but I think there's enough to sort of like be going on with. There's enough to sort of satisfy the census people, I think. You know, we are actually returning a form in
a slightly different state.
Slightly more carbon and oxygen probably than it arrived in, but now we're going to. I'm not going to lick the envelope because they can take your DNA from that. I'll just fold
I think they'll be able to find who you are, Ben. You're going to put it on your channel, aren't you?
Well, but I mean, the thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, Sue, let me speak to people. Let me speak to the people.
Get them on hip. I'll stand here as well.
Prosecute you. They say they can prosecute you, but they're not. Last time there were 1 million defaulters, and there were 38 prosecutions. I'm very surprised if there will be a single prosecution this time, because it'll be like the poll tax 20 years ago. You know, they're all full of bravado. We can send you to jail, we can threaten you with Greek buggery and all this sort of thing. And when it actually comes to it, they can't prosecute people. There's a backlog of poll tax defaulters that's going to go back 150 years. And this is going to be the same again, because more people are defaulting this time. Janet Street Porter, this woman who writes in the Daily Mail, which is hardly a revolutionary journal, has said she's advocating breaking the law and not filling out your census form. Millions of people are going to default. The jails are full, the courts are full. Don't be scared. Don't let them frighten you. Okay? So we're now going to return this to whence it came. Thank you for watching her Panwo TV. Hospital Port's Pride and Dignity stopped the New World Order.
Right, last night we witnessed the satanic ritual of Ben burning his census form, and we've just found this poster which is reminding you it's time to fill it in, Ben.
Oh, fill it in. Fire is wasted on witches, you know. It's best for the census form, but this is unbelievable. Just listen to this. Complete your census online or drop it in the post today to avoid a fine. Well, as we've already discussed, it's very unlikely anyone will get prosecuted for defaulting on their census at all. However, just look at this. Listen to this. Help tomorrow take shape. Oh my goodness. Has anyone got a sick bag?
Okay, thanks for that, Ben.
All right, that's enough obscene publications for one day.
All right.
It's only illegal if it's technically trespass.
Right.
Like, I was going through the Bernardo's skip. Me and my mate were going through the back of Bernardo's skip. That happens to be on private land.
Right.
So they shooed us away, and we couldn't really fight them because we were trespassing.
Right, right.
But if it's public land, no problem. Aldi, no problem. Little's Concert, they're trying to say it's private land, but it's jointly owned by various people.
Organised an event in America on September the 11th, 2010 called Burn a Quran Day, in which he called on Christians to take copies of the Holy Quran and burn them as an act of desecration against the Muslim religion.
Did you have a good time on Saturday? Yeah, it was a Burn a Quran Day. Did you enjoy it? September the 11th, Burn a Quran Day. Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? Whole helps to remind us, you know, that Muslims did 9/11, didn't they? You know, it wasn't no government conspiracy. Well, the reason I'm coming to talk to you today
is because, basically, burning their books ain't enough. So that's why I am proposing, but you nothing, have decided to get in front of all of you and try to make September the 17th, today, a microchip a Muslim day.
Muslims are currently being used in this world, and especially no more so than in Britain, as targets of what David Icke calls problem, reaction, solution. In other words, policies can be brought in because they're portrayed by the government as solutions to problems that have either exist naturally or have been created artificially. And Muslims at the moment are being used an awful lot for these kind of actions.
The other video that was named as being unsuitable was you advertising David Icke's new book.
Yes, I hope David appreciates the free advertising, but David brought a book out of that. Now this is a much older video that goes back many months before. It's called David Icke's new book, and it's about a book he's written called Humerous, Get Off Your Knees, The Lion Sleeps No More.
He was a shapeshifter. Now, I have no evidence that he was a shapeshifter. He said he was a shapeshifter, and I know that he has stayed in the United States with Wendell Stevens.
I decided to give David a bit of free advertising because, you know, I like the guy, I admire him, I think he deserves it. So what I did was I parodied the cover picture on one of David's previous titles, which is called I Am Me, I Am Free, in which David appears naked with a big sticker over the old mid-wicket. Because it's not suitable to show these parts of the body.
It was an alleged shapeshifter.
Well, he was an alleged shapeshifter. I think it was from Syria or something.
Do you have a view on that?
Not really, no.
You know what it is about Viagra? Viagra is only actually made of one root herb. It starts with an S. And you can get that loose, Mexico or Canada, and they'll just send you it. You know, because as Viagra, it's a tablet, and it's got the release mechanism on it. But it's only made of one frickin' thing. Yeah. So you can get it really cheap, and maybe you could put that in your bell end as well. Huh?
So I thought, I'll do the same. And so I appeared naked on this video with a book, strategically placed.
I am me, I am free. Well, no, actually, this is Human Race, Get Off Your Knees, The Lion Sleeps No More, the new book by David Icke. It's available now at all good bookshops, priced £20. Or you can order it direct by going to davidicke.com and following the link for David Icke books, or you can just click the link in the description box. It's a big book, which is just as well when you think about it. Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.
There was about 7 of us around the table when Vanessa Redgrave came bursting in, asking us to come outside. There was something in the sky, and they all trooped outside. And she said she'd been watching this moving light for about 10 minutes.
Vanessa Redgrave.
Vanessa Redgrave.
So can you? Is there any way you can elaborate at all on what you saw, specifically the horse and the cow? Because it might sound strange, but this is actually relevant. There may be a link here with something, some of the research that I'm involved with.
And yeah, I dreamt that I saw this horse. Or was it the cow? With its mouth had been cut away from it.
So this was after it had come out of your nose, it's stuck in your finger? Okay. Any animals in any of your dreams? I know that sounds like a very bizarre question. John, well, thanks so much indeed.
Thanks, Dawn.
Well, basically, he was visited by the Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell, who heard about his own machine, came to see it working, and then Mitchell said to him, Edgar Mitchell, the same Apollo 14 guy, said to
the sixth man on the moon,
allegedly, to never walk on the moon.
Sorry?
Yeah, exactly, yes. The sixth man to not be on the moon, so he could be somewhere else at the same time.
So you don't think Mitchell walked on the moon?
No, he didn't. He didn't walk on the moon. That's a whole other story. But
right, okay.
Anyway, it depends how much of this you edit in or out.
Yeah.
But I'm just going into this.
So Mitchell, so a device using a similar principle to Trombley's, over unity, allegedly called an N machine.
The N machine.
Dr. Edgar Mitchell, who we know as the Apollo 11 astronaut, not Apollo 11, Apollo whatever,
14,
14, tries to buy his device. Or
correct, or it makes him an offer, De Palma refuses, and then Edgar Mitchell says to De Palma, according to De Palma, if you're going to go around doing this sort of thing in California, you're going to get your head blown off. They pass information to a third party, which then decides whether
there's anything to it.
Yeah, whether they buy the person out, or they wrap them up in legalese, or they, offer them a business plan. In a restaurant. Yeah, or poison them in the restaurant.
It was midsummer, and we chose a campsite right in the middle of the increasingly weird Lincolnshire Triangle.
Okay, we're in Alford, and we're going to stay at a campsite. So we're going to actually camp out this evening in the Lincolnshire Triangle, and to get there we have to go along the A157, which according to Wikipedia is Britain's 6th windiest road.
Bear right.
And apparently Britain's windiest road is a roundabout. Nothing coming, but yes, so we'll be in a campsite in the middle of nowhere in the Lincolnshire Triangle. Ooh. On our way to the caravan park, or the camping park. Red sky at night, Shepherd's Delight. 1,500 sheep missing, not Shepherd's Delight.
Right, just turned up at the caravan park, and it's basically just an empty field. And we're the only ones, the only tent here. Right, we've managed to get the tent up before it's got completely dark.
No, this is not Blair Witch Project, this is Richplanet TV. Now, it's 1 o'clock, 1 AM, and we, as I say, we are in the Lincolnshire Triangle, so it's a perfectly clear night. The stars are out, so I'm going to put my head outside the tent.
Right, I'm standing outside the tent now, and yeah, I can see quite a lot of stars. The only light I can see in front of me is there's a farmhouse about 300 yards in front. I'll just zoom in, and it's just got one light, just a window. That's the only light about, really. This sleeping bag's like a complete cocoon, I can't move. Okay, I've come back in the tent. There's nothing to report, so I'm going to switch off and get some sleep. Maybe it's the night off tonight. Cock-a-doodle bloody do. Oh, what time is it? Oh, there would have to be a flippin' cockerel right in the next field. Right, it's 7:30 and it's peeing down, so we'll have to hope this rain subsides so I can put the tent back in the car. I guess it's one of the rules of the universe, if you go camping, it rains, and the dog shits outside your tent and you stand in it when you get up in the morning. So I'm going to try and find the toilets. As you can see, it's still peeing down, and that was fun, taking the tent down in the rain. Any other message for the people of Britain?
I'll have a think, I'll have a tab. That is an open-ended question which is just begging to be abused. You also spelt supercalifragilisticexpialidocious wrong.
And in America, there's a man called Jack McLam who runs an organisation called Police Against the New World Order. And I thought, well, if police can have an organisation against the New World Order, why not hospital porters?
Think that religion's just been there to put us off the scent? It's... Because I'm
Yeah, how long have you got? You know what I mean?
I mean, I've had a few, not so much out-of-body experiences, but I've had lots of out-of-head experiences.
Right.
The world is becoming more and more uniform.
In entertainment, keep the public entertainment below a 6th grade level. In the media, keep the adult public attention diverted from the real social issues and captivated by matters of no real importance.
I mean, I went to Australia, you see.
Are we not seeing this on our TV screens every day with the barrage of television shows of no real importance?
I went there with enormously high expectations of feeling I was going to visit somewhere exotic and strange.
Yeah. For example, the plethora of dancing shows. Strictly Dancing, Ballroom Dancing, Disco Dancing, Dancing at Night, Dancing on Ice, and the soon-to-be-launched Dancing on Shite.
When I got on the plane at Heathrow Airport in London, there's a branch of W.H. Smith in the departure hall. One of the first things I saw when I got off at the arrivals hall at Sydney Airport was a branch of W.H. Smith in the arrivals hall.
Where the contestants will hopefully fall flat on their abundantly maked-up faces. Of course, these shows are really not dancing competitions. The contestants' rippling bodies strut about, wiggling their bottoms in kinky, sexually explicit outfits, like prostitutes competing for your attention in a sleazy strip joint. Just as some of our tabloid newspapers are actually soft porn mags, thinly disguised as newspapers, these TV shows are the same. They are soft porn shows, thinly disguised as dancing competitions. In the past, I remember the show Bed
on the front.
I basically had my aerial on a biscuit tin in the bedroom.
And not only that, I've got a hole in my shoe just to add to the trauma. This skeleton is actually, it's actually David Caton,
the Formula One boss, who basically was going to parties with...
Parties, yes.
That's been letting water in for the last 2 days. This is Greyland's hardware store, probably the best hardware store in the world. It sells absolutely everything.
And they weren't Tupperware parties, are they?
No. So tell us about that, Oliver.
Well, I don't normally sully myself with
tabloidy,
sleazy. Yes, I rise above it. But on this occasion, I thought I'd dabble a little bit. Yeah. So I entered the murky world of.
It's Boblazar.
What is the plural of dominatrix? Is it dominatrices?
And I've painted it, and I've cut a hole in here, and this is going to be the teleportation device.
Earlier this week, I was looking at the BBC website, and I noticed an article about the CERN Hadron Collider, and it said that scientists have developed a means of listening to data produced by subatomic particles, such as the Higgs boson. So they're going to try and use this to help them detect the emergence of the Higgs boson, which, according to them, is the Higgs boson is what gives matter its mass, and we'll come on to that in a second. Just have a listen to some of these sounds. This is what energy from the Higgs boson particle may sound like. Okay, and we've got another one here, which is, this one is what the Higgs particle's harmonic signatures may sound like. And been sent for repair for this show. Obviously there's that camera there looking at me. There's would normally, just pissed on the desk. Or Ulysses has just pissed on the desk. And also about the very disturbing phenomenon of animal mutilation.
When they said calves, I thought they were going to be little things like that. Okay, this is the lift, otherwise known as the death trap, and we've just filled it full of junk. We've made a little bit of progress. This is lovely concert where it snows more than anywhere
in England. Starting this time with the head of MI6, John Sawers, who made a rare speech which has not happened for 100 years. In this speech, he mentioned the importance of human rights, which is a bit like George Best lecturing you on how to stay sober.
Johnny Fartpants was one of my favourites.
In some programmes you had serious debate, and then you had a poem about hemorrhoidal discharge.
Yeah.
There was pictures of the new MI6 boss in his Speedos.
Felix and his amazing underpants.
That was also very good, yeah.
Okay.
We're going to go to the pub because I'm bloody freezing. This is known as the underpants bomber.
Obviously, I'm off the Christmas card list
Right.
at MI6, and
Now I've extended my trip here in Dublin by 1 day because I intended to go home on Monday morning. I arrived here on Friday night and I only came in the clothes that I'm wearing. I didn't have to bring any other clothes, so these underpants are starting to have a mind of their own.
I just want to point out they are not my underpants.
I mean, I like to consider myself as a closet nerd. In other words, what that means is inside I'm a nerd, but I try not to outwardly show it.
I wouldn't be seen dead in a pair of those. Mine have got Buzz Lightyear.
Welcome to Richplanet TV. I'm Richard D. Hall. Has your partner just stormed off in the huff because you are watching Richplanet again? Fear not, you are not alone in experiencing this phenomenon. And don't be controlled by emotional blackmail either. It's not big and it's not clever, so close the door and I'll begin. And if I just walk around here, we can view things from my perspective. So this is just green paper stuck to the wall. We'll be hearing from our special new correspondent, Richard D. Hall, who has been tasked by BBC bosses to break all BBC news traditions and report the absolute truth with no spin. And we've got an 8 feet long double strip light there that I've stuck on some aluminium foil on the back to reflect the light up. Earlier this year, Peter Mandelson was rumoured to have been in line for a top BP job. What that lanky manipulative waste of space knows about the oil industry is beyond me. I'll sit in the Richplanet. The G something or other summit was held last week where the world's so-called economic crisis was discussed. Okay. According to a report by the government think tank Demos, terrorists use conspiracy theories in attempts to discredit the government and recruit new members. Really? Now, the other cameras that we have 3 cameras. The news in recent weeks has contained so much bullshit that our bullshit meter has exploded. And the third one is how an emerging and decaying Higgs particle may sound. Now, I'm not particularly convinced by this listening to the sounds of subatomic particles. Subatomic particles don't emit sound by their very nature. Sound is produced by air molecules vibrating through space, so subatomic particles don't have sounds. It's coming. We're now in the basement. You trying to send it up from there, Mason?
I'm in it.
Oh, you're in it? All right.
No! No!
So we've decided to create some of our own. And the first is an electron orbiting a hydrogen atom. And the next one is the sound of DNA creating protein molecules by assembling amino acids together. And finally, we've got the creation of hydrogen sulfide by adding sodium sulfide to hydrochloric acid. Right, yeah, I do apologise for the schoolboy toilet humour.
She was a party hostess, shall we say.
Party hostess. And he attended the parties?
The particular party, yes.
And subjecting the public to the deviant creation, thus being able to shift their thinking from personal needs to highly fabricated outside priorities.